How about you, Dr. Ko?
Neurosurgery, you're focused like a laser for 30 years. Around mid-career, I kind of wandered into the why, and I started picking up a brush. And of course, I missed half the classes because I had emergencies, craniotomies in the middle of the night. After a year of this coming in and out, I said, well, either I'm going to quit because I'm not very good, or I'm going to go back to school and get the pre-med fundamentals of art. At that time, I was chief of neurosurgery at a level 1 trauma center in the Bronx. So I was able to get a master's of fine art in representational painting during that time. It took me a lot longer than the average student. It took us 3.5 years. And by the way, it was more expensive than medical school. But neurosurgery is my medium, and the world of neurosurgery influences my art. I don't find too much difference between the operating room and the studio in terms of creativity, focus, and determination. I think the canvas is psychic territory, meaning that whatever I get in the operating room during those intense hours of concentration, and the world is very small, but I can bring some of that into the art studio, sort of transmit it onto paint. One thing about painting and drawing is analog. So you sort of switch back from being in a very high-tech environment where everything turns on a hair to a place where it's more acceptable to venture out, make mistakes, and turn those mistakes into something meaningful. I think what Katya said was that basically art saved me. I was at a midpoint in my career where art gave me something I didn't even know I needed. Coming back to neurosurgery from the art studio made my career richer. And neurosurgery makes my art more meaningful also. But most of my art has to do with medicine and neurosurgery because I realized that, science and medicine can't carry all the weight. There's not really that much difference between doing neurosurgery and doing art. It's sort of to me, it's one continuum. I think we have to accept that neurosurgery and art are a journey. And my feeling after having come through art and having a master's in practice in the studio is that if there's any passion that you have within your soul that you had to suppress because of the focus and dedication needed for neurosurgery, don't leave Earth without exploring it. And that's why when I talk to the medical students at my alma mater, John A. Burns School of Medicine, University of Hawaii, and why I put a museum there is because I want and I hope that the young people will decide that a singular journey might not work for everybody. It might work for some people, but exploring things outside your native career path only makes your career higher, richer, and more fulfilling. And it doesn't have to be art. You could become a surfer, a cook. Don't think that just because you signed on to this arduous career, that that's the end of it. It never dawned on me that I would actually be doing it. And so you never know what's really inside your soul, or maybe you do and you just suppress it.
Kay, you're in New York, and then you've got a thing, and you've done galleries there in Hawaii. What is it that allows you to put your works out there for the public?
Well, I never got more criticism of my creativity than in art school. And you know how hard the neurosurgery residency is? It was rigorous at Mount Sinai, where I went. But going to art school, they hammered. I think I've become stronger. Instead of my skin being like an X-ray, I had thin skin. I become more tolerant of people not liking my stuff. I don't like listening to the people who compliment me. I mean, I appreciate it. I'm very thankful that people actually like my work. But every once in a while, the people that criticize you, there's always a kernel of truth there. So I tend to listen to the people who don't like my work, even though sometimes they can be mean. But I always take it into consideration and think, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't have put too much blue there. Or maybe it is a piece of junk. Criticism sometimes can lead you to an opening. And that's how I came to value criticism from art school rather than from neurosurgery training. I just had a solo show in a small gallery outside of New York City. My stuff is a little bit hard for the lay people because I'm just doing what's in my soul. And my soul is neurosurgery. The best analogy I can give you right now is to say that, we're having this terrible storm in Honolulu, in Hawaii, and it's called the Kona Low, and everything's flooded. And if I had to save something from my house, from the floods, I would take my art pieces and leave my stethoscope behind. But till the end of my days, I'd never forgive myself for leaving it behind. The marriage of the two is something that people aren't in the art world, they're not used to it. They're used to medical illustration. which is a different branch of art altogether. My stuff has more poetry because I'm trying to express a narrative and a feeling through things that otherwise look like, a craniotomy. I have a piece called Craniotomy in G sharp. If you look at it as a neurosurgeon, it's a Midas Rex opening a skull. If you look at it as an artist, it's some kind of a dynamic pivot point in somebody's life.
How do you think that the art has helped you connect with patients?
I was doing a lot of portrait painting of my patients, and they started to all want portraits. One in particular was a 19-year-old who suffered an epidural hematoma. He was playing the trumpet in a touring Russian orchestra, and he allowed me to paint his portrait, and this is it on the front page of a major newspaper, so I'm not telling anything sensitive. And he went back to Russia, and we keep in touch every couple of years on Zoom. And recently, 4 or 5 years ago, he asked me to send him the operative report. So I sent him the op report. He said he needed it to defer himself from going to war, Russia, Ukraine. And so then he wrote back to me and he said, can you translate it into Russian? And I said, show them the portrait that I did of you. I like to think that maybe I saved his life twice. Maybe doing the craniotomy saved his life for the epidural, and then the portrait saved his life from going to war. My stuff is deeply entwined with my experiences of dealing with the patients and how much they've given to me. And I guess sometimes my work for the patients is giving back something that is indescribable and immeasurable amount of what they've given me.
I think, we all see and touch patients pretty much on a daily basis in one way or another. And I think, whether it's spoken or unspoken, we all have to acknowledge it, it affects us, as no matter how tough you are. And my feeling on this is, when I went to medical school, I was really stressed about where I was going to residency. It was a very tough program. So I decided to take a class at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, which is my aunt's alma mater, who's passed away many years now. So art as therapy has been pretty much the theme of this podcast. And obviously people can, like you said, Kay, they can go into art, they can write, they can do stand-up comedy, they can cook, they could build. I've done all the above except for stand-up.
If you find yourself needing something or yearning for something or thinking that the career, in any career, maybe is not enough or is too much, try going outside the career and exploring things and then coming back into the career. Art is therapy. I say for the medical students, art is medicine.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. And on behalf of myself and my intrepid co-host, Dr. Laura Massie, I want to thank you both for having a very fresh, different podcast. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
Little light is shining through the window, lets me know everything's all right.